Fast 9 is the latest installment in the Fast and Furious saga, which teams the Fast family with the franchise's longest-serving director, Justin Lin. Before we get into this, don't forget to hit that like button down below. It does wonders in getting my content out there, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all my content. Dom Toretto is leading a quiet life off the grid with Letty and his son, but they know that danger always lurks just over their peaceful horizon. This time, the threat will force Dom to confront the sins of his past to save those he loves most. His crew joins together to stop a world-shattering plot led by the most skilled assassin and high-performance driver they've ever encountered, a man who also happens to be Dom's forsaken brother, Jacob. Alright, so if you're going to count Hobbs and Shaw, which is the spin-off movie that came out a couple of years ago, Fast 9 is actually the 10th installment in the Fast saga, which is the biggest, most lucrative franchise that Universal Pictures has ever had in its history. In fact, it is the 7th highest grossing franchise of all time, ahead of the likes of Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, DC Universe, Batman, all of that. It trumps all of them. These movies are huge, not just monetarily, but story-wise, action-wise. These are the biggest, most bombastic pieces of cinema that have ever been released. And each one of these movies that you watch, you think there is no possible way you can outdo this again. You cannot get bigger. You cannot get more bombastic. You cannot get more explosive than this. And then each coming one somehow manages to prove you wrong. Fast 9 is no exception to this, because this most certainly is the most bonkers installment in the franchise. This is a franchise that started out very different to how it is now. The original films were very much just about drifting, you know, street racing, all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of like the heist element kind of thrown in there, underground crime, all that stuff. But over the years, this franchise has kind of ballooned into this enormous thing where it got to a certain point around maybe Fast 5, Fast 6, where it really just truly leaned into the ridiculousness and embraced it all the way. And I think at this point in the franchise, audiences have well and truly leaned into it as well, because this is the big, explosive popcorn flick that people really want to go and see. However, franchises don't get this big unless you have some sort of narrative hook, some kind of heart and soul. Now, I felt like the franchise maybe lost that a little bit, probably maybe after the 7th installment. I think 6 and 7 are my personal two favorites of the franchise. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Of course, the 7th film was the final one that Paul Walker did before he passed away, and they had to reshape the ending of that and everything. So obviously that did change kind of the direction that the franchise was going from there on. I felt that Fast 8 kind of lacked, without Paul Walker in there, it lacked a lot of the heart that the franchise did have with him there. Of course, all the characters are fantastic, but I felt like it kind of lacked something. It wasn't a movie that I was particularly fond of. But coming back into Fast 9, we've got director Justin Lin as back in the driver's seat. He is, of course, the longest running director of this franchise. He directed right from 3 up until 6, and he skipped out the last 2 movies, or 3 if you count Hobbs and Shaw. And with him, he really brings a lot of that heart and soul of the early movies. And I think he really imbues this into this film really, really beautifully. What I think this movie does really well is it takes that sequel trope of splitting your characters up and sending them off on their own kind of individual adventures. And I think that this movie does this better on a grander scale as well than any of the previous Fast movies. I mean, 10 movies in, you really have to start doing something a little bit different. You gotta mix it up a little bit more, or else it feels like you're doing the same movie over and over again. Of course, one of the biggest focuses in the film is Dominic Toretto. He is haunted by ghosts of his past, which is essentially his long-lost forsaken brother who comes back into the picture. He's kind of an antagonist here, and you kind of explore the bad blood between those two. And in doing so, we explore what has made Dominic the man that he is today. You have got Roman, Tej, and Ramsey. They're off on their own globe-trotting adventure, trying to kind of like a heist, kind of cyber hacking kind of adventure over here. You've got Letty and Mia. They're off on their own adventure on another side of the globe. And of course, you've got Han. He's back in the movie. I mean, if you die in the Fast and Furious franchise, you're not dead for good. You're going to come back. We've seen it happen time and time and time again. So Han is back, and we get to explore a little bit of where he's been. Of course, Cypher is back here as well. She's kind of pulling a few strings here and there, and she has her own kind of side story. So really, there is a lot to really focus on in this movie. There's a lot of stuff going on, but the great thing is, it's a film that runs at just under 2.5 hours, so it's got plenty of time to breathe. And it has plenty of time to give enough attention to these characters, and really, it brings this really beautiful heart and soul to it. It really does. Now, this is a franchise that's been really, really hard to kind of peg down into one genre. As I said before, these started out as like street racing movies, and then they grew into these big action blockbuster films. And it's got to a point now where they really do feel like it's like a superhero movie. Like, these characters are, they're almost invincible. And I love that this movie actually, it takes a look at itself. The character of Roman actually has a little bit of a, I don't want to spoil too much, but he has like this kind of crisis where he starts to question, hang on, are we actually invincible? I mean, we go through all these crazy things and we're still alive. We don't even get any scratches, you know? So I really like the way that the movies are able to look back on themselves and go, look, these aren't that realistic. They're just a little bit of fun, and to have the characters kind of remarking on that stuff is a lot of fun as well. You get some really great action-adventure elements in here. Not just action, but big adventure elements. You know, you've got this great, it opens to this big adventure sequence, which feels like something that could be ripped out of like an Indiana Jones movie, you know, like a classic pulp, something like that. You bring in some sci-fi kind of elements too. It feels like very sci-fi, kind of in the middle once you get to the crux of this thing. And then, of course, you've got the drama, you've got absolutely everything thrown into it. It's crazy. Look, I've heard a lot of people, I've seen a few reactions and stuff on social media, people saying this is like the stupidest movie I've ever seen, they do so much stupid stuff, whatever. Yeah, you know what, these are dumb movies, but I had so much fun with this. I had the great opportunity to be able to watch this movie twice, and I enjoyed it on the second viewing so much more because I really got to just soak it all in and just sit back and just enjoy the ride, because this is such a fun movie. I think this is probably one of my favorite ones. Again, I said earlier, my favorite ones up to this point is probably 6 and 7. I think this one comes back to the not just the scale, but that kind of beautiful storytelling of those movies right there. And yeah, I'm enjoying this, and I'm looking forward. Like, how many movies can you get like 10 films into the franchise and be like, yeah, I'm dying for more? Apparently we got 2 more on the way. So look, I don't know. I simply don't know where they can go from here. I say at the end of every one of these, I don't know where they can go from here, but I'm looking forward to being blown off my feet. Who knows what's going to happen next? Oh my lord. At that, I will happily be giving Fast and Furious 9 a 4 out of 5. Fast 9 is an absolute thrill ride from beginning to end. Just when you think films couldn't get any crazier, the franchise hits its most bonkers chapter yet. However, with Justin Lin back behind the wheel, heart and soul is back at the forefront, making for not only an exciting but meaningful installment in the Fast saga. Thanks to the incredible team over at Universal Pictures, I had the enormous pleasure of chatting with some of the film's cast and its director, Justin Lin. If you want to check out those videos, they are linked at the end of this one. Fast and Furious 9 opens in Australian cinemas on the 17th of June 2021. It opens across the UK and the US between the 24th and the 25th. Thanks again to the incredible team over at Universal Pictures for making it possible for me to view this film not only once, but twice ahead of its launch for the purposes of this review right here. And thanks everybody out there for watching. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.